Hi everyone. Today is my privilege to welcome Terry for this interview. Hey Terry.
Hi, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been a long time coming, and I'm very happy we get to do this at last.
Right. So, can you introduce yourself?
Huh? So I'm Terry. I'm illustrator working for Riot Games. I'm 34. I'm French, and I've been in the industry for probably close to 8 years now. 6 years, 8 years, probably 8 years. Um, and I think yeah, that's pretty much it. I enjoy a good glass of wine. I enjoy going to music festivals. I have an amazing cat. And apart from that, yeah, just vibing with life so far.
Nice. May I know what sparked your passion for drawing?
It came very late, I would say, because I never drew as a kid. I wasn't like sort of a creative kid either. So I've never been into drawing or art or anything. And my first career actually, like I didn't know what I want to do with my life. So my first career was actually going into the military. So I did this for a couple of years. And then something happened where I had to shift into a new career because I couldn't stay in the army anymore. And it sort of got me into questioning, well, what do I like? What do I want to do? And I was kind of confused because, I wasn't interested in anything particularly. No, I wasn't good at anything particularly either. But one time I happened to be like in a hospital bed, and I opened the drawer that was next to my bed. It's a funny story, I like to say like most of the time, but yeah, I opened the drawer next to my hospital bed, and there was a French magazine called Adobe Photoshop magazine in it. I think I was like 23, 24, something like that, 22, 23, 24, around that period. And I just realized that actually people that were like designing the games I was enjoying or working on the movies, like there were like artists working on those things actually. It doesn't, come out of thin air. But it's something I never realized until then. I wasn't actually questioning that fact. So since I was into video games, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea to try drawing for a bit. And yeah, that's what I got into drawing. I just bought a drawing book, Drawing for Dummies, those kind of books,
Yeah.
and yeah, just went on with it. And that's how I started. I started actually pretty late. I know most people are like been drawing forever, but my passion was intense, but it arrived late.
I guess that happens for some people.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. It's funny because it's like usually when you talk to a lot of people, like they've been drawing forever and then they took it seriously. For me, it happened late, but I instantly took it seriously. Oh, that was like, yeah, the similarity there.
so how did the army help you as an artist? I used to be in the army for 2 years as well in Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore, you guys have to do it for 2 years. How was that experience for you?
Well, I clocked 20 outfields within just 2 years. It was really tough. And I'm going back in August this year as well for my reservist.
Jesus. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, wow. Okay. Well, so you know the drill. So,
Yep.
um, the thing is, like, it was an amazing experience on a lot of levels because you get to experience a lot of things. And the connection with drawing for me was mostly about like how disciplined I was, and resistant to efforts. Like I was very endurance, meaning that with everything that happened through my career in the army, my small career, it's just like yeah, I was basically not afraid of overworking or being disciplined or having like timelines working more than, the regular hours. And it's yeah, and kept myself disciplined through thick and thin basically. So that it really brought me those values of, yeah, hardworking, I guess, and disciplined. And once I was working in a studio, it also brought me values such as like knowing how to teamwork, how to communicate, a good sense of leadership. So those kind of things are sort of core values I got from the army. So I did find some connections there. Yeah, I didn't draw in the army though. So it
Same.
was mostly like moral and sort of like values that I brought there from the army. But definitely very, very, very interesting.
Nice. Well, what about your art timeline? I'm pretty sure you went to certain schools, right? Or and you took some online courses, read some books.
I did. I started drawing for myself for like 6 months to maybe a year. And because I mean, same thing. I was like 22, 23, 24. I don't remember exactly, but let's say 23. I was doing this for a year. And then because I didn't know anything, so I was just basically learning through whatever resources I had, which were at the time like basically YouTube and drawing books that are sometimes very bad. Because I was not aware that there was like really good valuable drawing books. I was just taking whatever had drawing written on it. It was sometimes look those books of like 1, 2, 3 how to draw an owl. Just draw a circle, then two circles, and then you have an owl or whatever. Um, so I was kind of confused during that time because I didn't know how to research, and for me it was very important to stay disciplined. So I had a lot of. I mean, I had a lot. I actually didn't have a lot of money. I did have money saved from the army, not enough to pay for a school, so I had to take a credit. But at the time, uh, yeah, how's it called? Student loan. At the time on YouTube, there was Fangzhou. That was pretty much the only thing I could see on YouTube. So I went there for a year,
Oh,
Singapore.
yeah.
So yeah, I did 1 year in at FZD School of Design in Singapore, where basically it's like sort of like an art boot camp where you learn about concept art and a lot of things. Very interesting year, and especially because I got the opportunity to discover Singapore, which is an amazing city. I loved it. But yeah, that's the learning timeline was there. So basically 1 year by myself, 1 year at FZD, which was valuable, but honestly, I wouldn't. It was very expensive for me because I had to pay back student loans for a hot minute. And then I think, yeah, came back, crafted my portfolio in probably 6 months, then took. Do you want the full timeline, or should I stop here?
Oh, sure, please go ahead. I'm pretty sure a lot
All
of
right,
your fans would be interested.
so basically, yeah, went back, worked on my portfolio, found a job in 2D mobile game company called Pretty Simple Game. They were doing a game called Criminal Case at the time, which was a very popular Facebook game. Where I started as a 2D artist, so basically generalist, doing assets and everything. And I evolved very quickly. Like in the span of 2 months, I was a background artist, and then a character artist, and then like 6 months after I was a lead artist, and maybe 3 months after I became an art director. So like in this company, I moved very, very fast, which was good because it gave me really good knowledge of all the art roles within a company, from being a 2D artist all the way to like leadership, art direction. Um, so very good knowledge from a game dev perspective. But I realized that I did not enjoy, like, the reason I started doing art was not to be like maybe necessarily a concept artist, or I don't like the idea of using 3D too much, or like photo bashing, all those skills that are very important but that are very I started art for the sake of art, not for the products. Is like that was my main reason. So after maybe a couple of years in the studio trying to like look for what my love was, whether it was traditional art or like I don't know if I wanted to work for Disney, I didn't know if I wanted to do stylized or like hyper AAA realistic. So in all this confusion for a minute, looking for my style and what I vibe with, I found out that my my go-to is and always was actually illustration, and particularly League of Legends illustration. So I quit my job and told myself, fuck it, I'm gonna start trying to do illustration. So illustration, starting from scratch, because obviously I knew how to draw a bit better, but I was mostly doing art direction and concept, which is a lot of photo bashing. So I had to relearn a lot of fundamentals. So I used that 6 months to 8 months of like pure training and building a portfolio catered to do illustration specifically for League of Legends. And then yeah, I got contacted by Mingxin Shen, who's one of the best artists I know.
Yeah, he is.
Amazing artist. Yes, the art director of West Studio, who closely worked with Riot Games. So it was my first foot at the door. So I worked with them for Riot. I mean, for West, and then I mean for Riot technically for 2 years, and I crafted a lot of skills. And then took my shot, and I think I had a glass of wine or two, and I was like, yeah, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna send a portfolio to a Riot and see if they want to hire me. I think there was an opening at the time, and yeah, they contacted me, and now I'm working at Riot, and it's for me, it's like it was the pinnacle of what I wanted to achieve, and definitely the dream job for me.
Wow. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you. A lot of hard work, but worth it. It's a like again, like when you do like an adventure like this, it's funny because like you reach for something, but the adventure along the way, even if it's very cliche to say this, it's like really exciting and fun. So I really enjoyed all the small decisions and all the people I've encountered, all the artists I've learned with. It's been a hell of a really awesome journey.
Well, I hope to see you in Singapore again soon. Maybe, you can
Dude, I
walk
hope.
around Riot Singapore.
Jeez, I want to go back and do like all the amazing food you guys have, all the hawkers. I had an amazing time there. Yeah, it was hot though. Oh my God,
Yeah,
it
humid.
was so hot. Yeah, yeah, but I loved it. It's honestly one of the best countries I've ever been in. So yeah, I wouldn't mind living in Singapore at all. I loved it.
And there's Riot HQ there as well. One of the
Yeah,
HQs.
they got right Singapore. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Maybe one day.
sorry? Maybe
Maybe
one
one
day?
day. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, as you know, you have fans from around the world, including mainland China, and I managed to ask all my classmates what would they want to ask you, and
Hmm.
I tried to compile a few questions. You know, they just want to say that they really like your works.
Oh man, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me. I try to translate these questions to English. So do let me know if you need clarification, and I'll try to.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
one of the first few questions is, how do you enhance the sense of light in your artwork rather than just changing your local colors?
Okay. You think that means that how do I work on lighting specifically? Or let me check.
Yeah.
I think I get the sense of the question. It's mostly about like how I apply lighting. I'm not sure about the local color, but because I don't start. I know a lot of artists start with local colors and then they add lighting. On top of the local colors, actually, I think it's a smart way of doing things because at least you have the local color to work on from, like as a strong base. But for me, I like lighting is the most appealing part of art. Especially like very strong lighting, or like for me, lighting is like even when you talk about cinematography and movies and everything. For me, like the way you light a scene is one of the most appealing thing you could do in art in general. So it's something I think I'm trying to get a big focus on. I work lighting the same way I work characters. It's very shape driven. So my goal is to find like sweet spots of carved lighting in that model that's like all, let's imagine your model is all dark. Like where would you add like those carving lights that would appeal and work them shape wise just as if it was a character within the silhouette, or vice versa. Like if your character is white, where would that the dark shadows would be so that it would be a character within the character. So yeah, usually this is how I think about lighting. It's like the first thing I try to get a sense of. But let me see if I have ideas on this. But yeah, that's how I go usually. So I work very stylized, like in terms of like there's a couple of shapes that simplify the lighting and the way it carves the model. And then as I render, I render it to make it logical, because I don't think lighting in the beginning, my lighting at least, is not logical. It's more like shape driven, but sometimes it doesn't make sense in the context of a scene. And then once I start rendering, I solve that issue of realism, so I make sure that the light logic is applying everywhere else. Uh, but I try to keep the essence, just like this, when you do a nice sketch that has a lot of energy, same thing with the lighting. I try to keep what makes the lighting decision that I had early on as much as I can, and that means finding a balance between realism and things that are not realistic necessarily, but that are appealing. So it's a mix of both. But I start, very stylized, unrealistic, but very decisive, and then I mellow it into something that's a bit more realistic as I render.
Okay, so it's all about designing the shape first.
Yeah. For me, it's like, what do I want to see? What do I want to see, and how do I show it? And for me, like the lighting, the carving the lights on the character is the best way to do it. It's just like I can't screen share, but I do have some examples. Just finding those pocket of lights that are like triangular, or like like very like rectangular, triangular circles of pockets of lights. Uh, that's gonna excite you. Like, it's gonna excite me about like the like figuring out the lighting of the character. So it's starting with like very strong strokes of lights in some areas, and yeah, then I mellow it out. Basically, that's the idea.
Are you on mobile right now?
No, I'm on PC.
Oh, you're on PC. Oh, cause I can share screen and maybe we can look at some images along the way as
Okay.
well. All
Yeah,
right,
sounds
let
good.
me see which screen. Okay, let me see if that works.
Ooh, I can see.
Okay, let me. Right. So one of my classmates asked, with respect to the first question, is I think,
Mm.
if I understand him correctly, is how can he enhance his sense of light in this particular artwork rather than just changing his local colors.
Mhm. I think the local colors are really nice. Like the way it would do it there, is just figuring out, since like everything is like sort of realistically lit, so there's like a light logic, top right light logic happening everywhere. Finding a way to like prioritize what you want to see first, so where the light would be more intense, and then within those area, finding shapes that are like more graphical, rather than rendering the form just as like that's the lighting and that's how it is. Yeah, I think like where you're showing right now, like where the thigh is, the fact that there's shadow happening, casting shadow happening, and there's like strong light happening underneath, and on top there's also this pocket of lighting. I think enhancing the design of those lights there would be nice. Same thing on her face. There's like a small pocket of light happening on the left side part of her cheek. So maybe we could like find areas where we could design more like light and shadow shapes, but very stylistic. It doesn't have to be like um without making it, like like too gradient or too blurry or something. You can be like really strokey and decisive about the way you do it. Can you check if you go on the Darius I have,
Okay, let me open
um
your art
I
station.
think it has something a bit similar. I think it's a similar situation. The Darius, which is yeah, this one. Like, it's the same thing that's happening on the face. Like that pocket of lights, that triangle that you have there, that follows with like inside of the shadow of the eye, like there's another like triangle, reverted triangle. Those are not really realistic shapes, but they're like same thing from the nose. I'm not even sure the nose would be hit that much with lighting, especially coming from that side. But it's just finding like opportunities of like shapes or graphic designs that are interesting to sort of please Same with the pauldron, like the pauldron on the right side. Like there's like a pocket of light, but there's triangles of shadow happening as well on the pauldron there. So it's just like same thing, finding appealing graphical shapes to design your lights, and then playing with the intensity. Same thing. Technically, all the characters here should be lit very similarly. But the strongest graphical design in terms of lighting is happening on Darius himself, and at least the focal. So the way I would do it on your friend's art would be sort of do a similar treatments, finding shape designs that are more graphical and more pronounced and bold, where you want to show important elements.
So one of his comment was he felt his painting was in like the mid grays. It feels like it has no sense of lighting. Is it because the lack of graphical shapes that cause it, in your opinion?
I mean, not necessarily. I think it's also like in terms of value. It's also hard because you're doing like out in the sky, blue sky, sort of art. It makes me think of another illustration I did a long time ago. This was 5 years ago. But if you go back to my art
Okay.
station, it's going to be a similar situation as well. Go all the way down, and I think the dwarf and the lady on the second row, the second from the last. This one. It's also very similar in terms of like lighting, but like there's an intensity and a graphic design happening on the focals of the characters, and then the rest is not as hits as much. So you have like a gradient of intensity and a stylistic difference between like the focals where you want to have like more graphic shapes, and then the rest where it's more like rendered realistically with more rounded rendering, etc., etc. So it's a mix of both things. Same thing, like the rest of the values are kind of clamped together. Whereas like the focals, where you're gonna have a lot of values that are separated either between like colors or materials, darks and lights, and even within shapes, the shapes are bolder. So it's something that you could do, that your friend can do on his piece as well. Like clamping the areas that don't matter as much and finding areas of focal and contrast and lights, shape, design where it matters.
And so another question would be, in a new environment where the lighting changes and the scene changes, maybe like from morning to dark, how much of an influence will it be on the local color, and how do you change the whole
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, it can change a lot. Especially like if you're doing like dawn, dusk, etc., etc. It doesn't have to, because you're kind of free to do anything you want. But generally, like everything takes the tint of basically your sky or something. So if everything is on the red side because you have a sun going down and the sky is also red, etc., I think yeah, you're definitely gonna have warmer tones everywhere. It's just I usually use good reference for that, for having a good idea on lightings uh, that are like affecting the rest of the piece. I think for blue sky it's actually kind of easy because it's very like light focused, and basically the top parts is blue. That's pretty much it. And then yeah, you have how's it called? Bouncing light happening from the bottom, especially when it's like that burns and lit. Yeah, that's the idea. I think your friend is in a good direction because everything's rendered nicely. Now it's just a matter of like not rendering everything the same and finding areas where you could push elements of design or element of lightings, and those happen generally around the focal. Because it's always the same thing too. Like if you render everything the same, then you have no area of contrast. Then basically you have no. It's not as appealing. Same thing with hyperrealism. It's interesting, but if everything is realistic, nothing really sticks out. So finding areas of shape contrast, especially within the lighting, which is something I like to do, is interesting for me at least.
So regardless whether it's night or day, first we need to
No,
have good
yeah.
references to understand what's going on, and we change accordingly. And with respect to where the light sources, it's about finding the strong graphical shapes
Yeah,
first?
yeah. Usually, I think it's good to start. I mean, you can have references, but I like to start with little to no references to go crazy, and then use references as I render to sort of ground myself into reality, because it needs to make sense too.
So I think some students are afraid that regardless of the situation, their end product is such that their values are stuck in the middle, appearing gray.
Mhm,
Is there
mhm.
any advice you could advise them on to avoid this situation, or is it really based on lighting?
Is it a color thing or a value thing? Because if it's a value thing, it's easy because you can always push and pull values, especially like around areas of contrast. But or areas you want to be appealing. If it's a color thing, if it's a color thing, I would go use more references for sure. If it's a value thing, it's just a matter of like maybe using black and white as your source of truth. I think like if you take the art from your friend,
Yes.
which is really good by the way, and you put it in black and white, like ask the question, what is sticking out? And once you sort of ask this question, it's and the other question is, how do I make what I want stick out? You know, like I
Okay.
think if I squint right now, like the main viz I'm gonna have is basically the bottom character, and the scepter. Yeah, those are like the two areas I'm mostly watching out. If this is the intention, then perfect, all by all means. But same thing, like the character on the left and the building on the right, they share very similar values. Maybe there's a way to push some depth there. Same thing with the sky. I think the sky could be used as more of a balancing elements, and right now it's also very similar in terms of value to the rest of the piece. The characters are kind of sticking out, but not maybe the areas that you want to stick out the most, which is like maybe the focal of the action.
I see. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I hope that helps. But yeah, this it's always a balancing thing, and it's also tricky because you need context to give feedback, as in like you need to maybe either know the intention or anything, but you can also like sometimes just like as he keeps on rendering, he's going to have more context for himself, and then he'll know or she'll know that what is missing. So sometimes you're same thing. A lot of the time my paintings, there's a lot of things going wrong, and my goal is just to keep on painting until like I either figure it out by myself or I ask for support. But if I don't have support, like you eventually will figure it out.
So, what another few more questions would be: your work has a very
Mhm.
distinct personal style. They want to know how is your style gradually developed.
You know what? This is actually the first couple of times I've started to hear this, because I I don't know if it's an artist thing, but I kind of feel like my style is very vanilla, as in like there is not like whatever. But yeah, sometimes I got people that tell me, yeah, I knew it was your splash, and I was like, damn, okay. I don't feel like it's not recognizable for me, at least. So it would be hard to know how like my personal style evolves. But my guess would be I've been copying the arts or style of other people throughout my entire art career by studies or by using them as references. And I think picking up things from artists I like, here, there, this and there, eventually it's formed into like my own style eventually. I'm not even sure if it's like my own style, because like I said, mine still seems vanilla. But I think that would be my guess. Sometimes you feel some artists have something that is very appealing in the way they do things, uh, and just understanding what makes it appealing, and studying it or using it as quality benchmark or reference, I think is very important. I know, for example, like for uh, female character faces, there's a lot of artists I look up to. Pen is one of them too. So sometimes like having his art on the sides just to check like, wait, is my face in a good spot, or can I push it more? Oh, actually I can push it more. Like it's not to the level of Pen. Is like Pen is pushing his stuff even more. So why, maybe I could do that too. Um same thing for, I don't know, like metals. There's a lot of artists that are really good at metals, and sometimes I do it on myself, and I'm like, can I push it more? And then you look at those artists again. Actually, no, it's in a good spot. Okay, I'm not gonna touch it anymore, etc., etc. But yeah, I could name so many artists that are inspiring, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't think you develop your sense of style, at least for me, because my theory is like you're either like like you can be either like a very creative, talented artist in a way. Like, I know talent is not a word we say, but like someone who has like a lot of creativity in them, and some people are more technical, and it's like it's a gradient. You can be one or the other, or like both at the same time if you're extremely good. I think like I'm more on the technical side, so I'm really good at analyzing what makes something look good. So yeah, it's just a lot of studies too. I used to study so many artists before. I don't do it as much now because I don't have time to do it. But I think, yeah, studying, doing masterpieces, same thing for lights. I think uh, even old school artists and modern artists, like I think Alex Flores is one of the most amazing artists,
He sure is.
especially in terms of like lighting. Yeah, Alex Flores, and same thing with Sargent. I know it's like always like everyone says Sargent, but like there's a way of painting lights when you're painting like Sargent. So it's I've done so many studies of so many artists, and eventually I think just keeping what you like and going on and growing like this, eventually you're gonna develop your own style. I'm glad to know there's a distinct personal style, because for me it's fucking vanilla.
Yeah, apparently the question that was asked after this was like, are there any artists or movement that has a particularly deep influence on you? So
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Modern artists, Alex, Pan, definitely. Because they were the artists that made me want to work at Riot,
wow.
pretty much. Yeah. Let me see, because I do have a couple. Maybe I want to name. I want to give back honors. There's a ton of artists. I might forget a few, but yeah. Definitely Alex and Pan. Everyone in the Riot Splash team, honestly, like they're like rock stars. It's fucking humbling to work with them, and everyone's amazing. I could name everyone in my team. Everyone is fucking amazing, and it's a blessing to be able to work with them all the time. One of my favorite artists of all time is Adrian Smith. I don't know if you know him. He does
Oh,
like Warhammer, yeah, old school Warhammer art. Uh, you know him or not? I'm not sure if you know him.
yeah, roughly seen his work
Yeah. Oh
before.
my God. And yeah, he's just so good. Same thing. Look at the light and the shadow. It's just like same thing. The studying him made me understand lighting and shadow in a way that I didn't before. Um, it's just so good.
Wow,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so freaking good. You can scroll all the way down. It's fucking amazing.
man.
There's a lot of shape-driven artists like Sergei Kolesov. Let me see. Yeah, his art is freaking fantastic.
Sergey.
Sergey Kolesov. I think it's Kolosov. Kolesov. I think it's with a E.
Oh,
Kolesov.
like,
Oh, hold on. Let me spell it here. And I'm not even sure it's written like this, but this is how I would write it. Kolesov, I think.
okay, let me copy and paste it.
Probably written like this. I'm apologizing if it's not how you spell it. I know nothing. Alright, that's how you write it. Alright, perfect. Yeah, his art is very graphical. It's like the sort of art, so it's where I'm in between where I like realistic art and very stylized art, and I think League Splash is the perfect in between. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, those are like some of the biggest influences for me. Old school, I'm very fond of the Orientalism movement. Oriental, or I think it's called Orientalism. They spell it out for you. Yes, with Jerome.
With who?
Jerome. So Jerome
Oh,
with a Gerome. Yeah, this guy. It's like it's amazing illustration. It's fucking cool. There's a lot of French artists I like a lot. Obviously Sargent's is a big inspiration. Bouguereau is an amazing inspiration. He's my main reference when I paint skin. So yeah, there's a couple of really, really good artists that I look up to, and I've been studying for a long time.
so John Signal Sargent.
Yes, yeah, John Singer Sargent.
My bad.
I got you.
Thank you.
Sargent.
Who was the last one that you talked about?
Bouguereau.
Okay.
Who did I say? Yeah, Bouguereau is amazing. Oh, this is my main reference for painting skins.
For
Like the
painting skin.
intricacies of painting skin and faces. The intricacies of the skin tone and volume is just so appealing there. Oh.
Wow. Amazing.
And something I've been looking more recently is the Caravaggio. I don't know necessarily how you say it, but Caravaggio, I think, is his name in Italian, I suppose. In French, we call it Le Caravage, and he's a very famous artist too. And his specialty is like the clair obscur, which is like very light and very dark. So very, very strong darks to showcase very, very strong lights. So lately, I've been inspired by this a lot.
Do you happen to apply what you learned from him in your recent splash art?
Yes. So I was working on Elise. So she was for a new thematic, which was like sort of like ballroom moments. Yeah, this one, Mask of the Black Rose. It started from studying Caravaggio.
Man.
So the way lighting the character pops, the skin pops, lighting works, and darkness around is sort of like fused into one, which has gradients. I use this for Caravaggio for her and for Rel, and so they are some of my favorite paintings because they're so simple in their execution and they focus on on other things than regular splash arts.
Sorry, Terry. Which paintings
Yeah.
again?
Oh, all those ones, all the ones from the Caravaggio. Inspired Elise and Rel. Rel, I did.
Alice and
Rel, I think it's the fourth one.
Rep.
Yeah, same thing.
Man, this is valuable knowledge.
Yeah, it's funny because like the older I get and the more I use classical art for quality benchmark or for inspiration. Before it was sort of a mixed bag, but now I'm like really getting back into like really old masters stuff. But yeah, so yeah, those are like my jam. Adrian Smith, top guy, amazing.
Yeah, his values are top
Oh
notch.
god, and he's my guy. He's fast. If you scroll down,
Yes.
if you scroll all the way down, he's got like the old school Warhammer paintings, and he's got like he's painting like I'm pretty sure he's painting everything on one layer, just like fucking winging it, because he's just like look at the values, the darks and everything is controlled and niche and pops perfectly. It's just so masterful. It's a level I can't comprehend.
Wow.
Maybe one day.
Man, this guy is at his peak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. Amazing.
So the next question is more practical. Let me see what's the next question. One of my classmates want to ask you about the handling of lighting. Let me drag out some examples that he sent me. Let's see. Like for example, this he said,
Yeah.
how do you manage the light shape? I think he's 打光的形状处理. I think the your lighting, which includes shapes, how do you manage it and how do you form it? And basically, is how do you consider the shapes of the light source that you apply on the character?
Okay. I think for her, the goal is that what I want people to focus on is the sort of like shoulder, bust, kimono area and neck area. So, and like the bottom part of the face, and everything else needs to be dimmed out or like turns to shadow with small pops of lighting here and there to make it like interesting. But everything is stylized to a sense where like the high spot of realism is going to be that central part, and everything else is supporting towards that. So, for example, like that specific area that you have redlined,
Yeah, for this.
if it was cut out, like if I had like more lighting in the back and it was more separated just because of values and everything, it would attract the eyes up, where the goal is for us to have it slightly down. Like it's a matter, and same thing, it's in context, because probably it was lighter at some point when I was painting. So it's just a personal effort to make sure that I I look at my picture every couple of days and everything from a distance, and I'm like, is my goal as intended? Like my goal is what I want you to look is not necessarily the story. Those are like things I think about, but like the main thing I want people to look at is that central point, and is everything is the rest supporting that or not? So yeah, the goal is just to make sure that she's readable as a character, so she's still detached, but that the value between the dark part of her hair and the background is very close, and it's done on a purpose so that it doesn't draw attention there. Because usually, like, if we look at characters, we're attracted to silhouettes first. It's something actually you learn probably in the military as well. When you do camouflage, one of the first thing you look at and you see is silhouettes.
Yes.
So dimming down silhouettes on purpose is a good way to understanding where do you want your silhouette to pop and where do you want it not to pop. Because if everything is cut out or everything's too nicely silhouetted, well, the eye is going to look at the silhouette first, but not necessarily at that central part you want people to look at. So that's how I like work on those elements usually. It doesn't come straight up from the beginning. Is just like as I paint, you have more context, and as you have more context, you make better decisions. So gradually, probably that area has been toned down. As for the shape itself, same thing. I like hyper realism. I mean, I like hyperism. I like to paint realistic stuff, but I like stylized shapes. So everything I can stylize, I try to. In terms of like when I look at curves, when I look at pretty much anything. I'm wondering if I can simplify it into like simple shapes somehow. It's just like that's what's appealing to me. I think you see more often now in medias as well. Like the sort of like stylistic look in animation. I know Fortiche does that very well too. For example, if you look at Arcane, they're finding ways to stylize a lot of elements, whether it's silhouettes,
For who?
lightings. Fortiche, it's the Arcane, basically. The guys who did Arcane. Fortiche.
For Tish.
FOR. Yeah, Fortiche. DICHE. Yeah. That's the studio.
Oh.
Same thing, like the way they like if you look at the fifth picture, for example. Yeah, the one with the Jinx. Like same thing. They're like you have a lot of like triangles, you have a lot of like circles, you have a lot of simplification of form. That ear is like cut out in like 4 or 5 distant, pinpoints. And yeah, that's the sort of thing I try to do as well when I work on my art. I don't necessarily do it because I mean straight away because I work very rounded. So it's an effort for me to sort of like finding breakpoints afterwards. But that's how I usually do it. I work from like everything's very round and wobbly, and as I go, I tighten things up and find shapes to break out through, whether it's like negative spaces or silhouettes or the shape of the lighting, etc., etc.
So for this particular painting, you want to focus more on the kimono and the bottom part of the face. That's why
Yeah, and
the left side is
yeah,
darkened.
exactly. That's you need to focus on that area specifically first. I want like the thing that's beautiful. I mean, the thing I want to be seen is that beautiful. I mean, what I try to make it as beautiful skin, the skin tone, the shape of the kimono, the sort of like warmth happening within some areas of the skin, etc. Not all the face, just part of the face. You know, those and just like those things. What do you want to see? I don't want you to see the entire kimono, but where the areas where the lighting is pinning on the kimono, you have some areas where you can see some detail. And that's like what makes it appealing for me, like finding those areas of interest.
Oh, so that's why even with some parts of the metal is around the light family, you dim it down so that the focus of what you want to showcase
Exactly.
can be enhanced.
The same thing if you take the other one, which I think is a good example. If you take, yeah, her, same thing. Like you don't have the same darkness happening everywhere, but the top part of the face is sort of like very stylized. It's basically like a round things with horns breaking out. But like what I want people to look at now is like the eyes. The eyes are like open and everything. So everything is in sort of this mid-tone with different variety of saturation. But like most of the contrast is actually happening in the eye area. So, and everything like breaking like negative shapes and everything are like around it. So it's like the same concepts applied differently. Like now, I don't really mind if you don't look at the kimono. I don't mind if you don't look at the skin, at the values of the skin. I don't mind if you look at the hair or whatever. Like the everything is sort of attracted so that you can look at the center part of like the higher intensity, which is in the focal area, the eyes.
So is that why there's some sort of contrast here as well, so that and contrast here as well, so that you can bring a focus to the face?
It surrounds perfectly that sort of like midpoints area, which is the face and the hair, which is all within, it's kind of grouped into like that similar tone. It's just you have enough values to sort of like get an idea of like volumes. But the thing you're gonna look at most, because I mean, same thing, the flower she has on her head, it could be more glowy. Technically, it's actually a very hard glowing flower. But there's a reason why it's dimmed down so much. We don't want it to compete with the eyes. So it's just like that permanent question of like, what do you want to show? What do you want to look at? And in that case, like the eyes is where you want to look at first. I mean, if I made you look at the eyes, I succeeded. Because this is where I wanted you to look at first. For Morgana, the first version, I want you to look at, sort of contemplate the smoothness of like the skin, the kimono, the details there, etc. Like that sort of midpoint area.
Yes, I can totally see this with the shape of these two triangles leading me, and with the negative space of contrast leading me to straight to the eye.
Exactly. Well, same thing. If you like take the two arts from a distance and you squint, the first areas you're going to look at, like, at least for me, maybe I squint differently, but the eye area is the first thing I look at when I look at the orange version, and the blue version, the purple version. First area I'm drawn towards that sort of like midpoint kimono area. So this is how I sort of like decide if it's successful in my mind or not.
Man, that's amazing.
Ooh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, like these are good questions. I believe it will help a lot of students or those who are learning about art.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad. That's so cool.
And,
I hope
and
that helped.
They want to know like how do you design shapes like this?
Same thing, like it could be more, it could be less. I figured that if it was less, it was not selling the dappled lighting, but the way it's done is just like to have the light shape was what's important for me. So that sort of like half circle V shape is just like experimenting with light shapes. So it's not an intense one because it's actually very close to the shadow. Um, so it's just enough to showcase that there's maybe some dappled lightings. But yeah, it's just playing with light shape, basically. Just looking at what light shape would be appealing for me, and just playing with those shapes until I find one that I like. Same thing, the way you design a character. Like the way you design, why would you do like hair this way, or you would design, I don't know, like the horns this way, whatever. It's just like you try different shapes until you find one that match. Sometimes with lighting, this is how I treat it as well. It's just like I'm trying different shapes, and then I see one that like this is appealing to me, and yeah, that's a way to make it work.
So I guess some of them wants to know how do you manage to come up with a shape, an interesting shape like this. I know you talk about graphical shape, the form of the head, and yeah,
Mm.
of the head you use a circular, half circular, triangular shapes. I guess what they
Mm.
want to know is how do you come up with all this? Is it based on experience or knowledge or some sort of
I
reference?
think I think a lot of probably experience is getting important because it's getting easier as I do it. Um, how would I do it before? Mm, I think I can find example. Yeah, I can't find it. I mean, it's yeah, for me it's mostly about experimenting. Maybe like yeah, the Mundo might be a good example. If you go on the Mundo, the corporate Mundo, there's like some. I think is it the only one where I have? Let me see.
Oh, this.
Work in progress. Oh yeah, actually the Udir is going to be a good example too. All right, so same thing. If you go, well, you can go to the Udir first. Yeah.
Oh, Mundo.
Yeah. Oh, this one, both work. So if you go down, there's like a sort of work in progress.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like the way, like for me, like see the sort of lighting happening on the back,
Yeah.
and there's sort of like the circle lighting that's happening on the thigh, like the post-it notes on the top right that's getting lighting for some reason, and it's the only one. It's just like and same thing, like the light shapes that are happening on the table. There's a lot of like it's a lot of experimenting, but it's just like I have an idea where the light is coming from. In that sense, it's going to be top left or like from the left area, whatever. And now it's just like matter of having fun on like how do I make it like nice and stylized. But if you look at the lighting, let's look at specifically the lighting on this the sleeve. So on our left, so his right hand, the one that's raised, there's a
Yeah.
light shape happening on the sleeve, right? It's
Yeah.
very curved in the beginning. Yeah, that specific one is very curved. Like in the beginning, it's very round, etc. Exactly what I told you. I work very round and everything. But as we go, that light shape, that pocket of light, is getting more and more stylized. You know, so it's getting like more triangular, and then it happens with like a bit of like. It doesn't have to. It works. It worked like before, but it's just like it's treated as its own character. That light shape is treated as its own character and just like simplified. Same, the one on his shoulder is actually getting simplified because it's getting bolder as we go. It was sort of like a wonky thing, and at the end it's just like it's getting simpler and simpler and simpler. So those light shapes are basically like that's the idea of how I sort of treat lights. I have an idea of how light works, and then I just treat it as a character and try to make it live its own thing. If you go at on Udir on the sketches,
Oh dear.
yeah, it's one up
One up.
above the there in the middle. Yeah. If you go
Uh.
on the sketches,
Yeah. Okay. Sketches.
yeah, this one. I think if you go to the sketches, same thing. Like the sketch, like nothing makes sense in terms of lighting. But I have an idea of like light shapes in general. Like for example, I know I want to see like in the first one, I want to see the fist. Yeah, I want to see like some elements of design. There's like for me like that moment is important. It doesn't make sense because like where's the lighting coming from? And technically, that would be if it's coming from the top, there would be some really harsh shadow casting. or there would be, something else, whatever. It doesn't have to make sense. But for me, it's just like it's a way to imagine what the light shape would be. Same thing with the bee one. The bee, just like that circle of lights happening around him. Like he's not receiving any lights. But lighting wise, there's something that's interesting compositionally. Same thing with C. C, it's just like there's sort of like triangular rim lights that are sort of like making him as a triangle shapes as well. Very interesting. I mean, for me, it's very interesting. And same thing in the background, you have like triangle shapes happening on the snow, whatever he's walking. So that's like the sort of the idea. And if you go down, I think one more, maybe there's a work in progress. That's the way like I would treat lighting as it goes. So it's just it's gotta wait for the beginning again. Oh no. So yeah, same. That's lighting as a concept, and then it's just like as you go, you make it more realistic because you have more and more context. It's
Oh,
easier to make things more realistic. So it's like you don't have exactly the sort of like as bold lighting that I had as an idea, because it doesn't make sense and it's not realistic. But you have concept of it that are still like emanating and being kept as we go. So that's sort of like the general idea of how to treat light.
so it's about where the light source is, where it hits, respect the form. After that,
Yeah.
stylize it into a very good shape with very good ratio, and then make sure that you showcase what you want to show.
Yeah. Like the idea, like you start very easy. Like where is my light source coming from, or where should it come from? So you can experiment a bit or not. Once you know, like how would it look like? So you can draw like very graphical, bold shapes to have an idea of what it looks like. And then if you're excited by it, then you can start rendering. And when you start rendering, you're like, okay, this actually doesn't make sense, but I kind of like the energy of it. Same thing when you're doing a sketch. Sometimes your sketch is like better than your final. I don't know if you heard the meme, whatever, but like sometimes people like, I love the energy of my sketch, but now that I inked it, it sucks. I don't like it anymore. Yeah, because there's energy in it. So that's the way I treat lighting. Lighting is for me is the biggest energy, and I try to keep it as I go, but it's not always as easy. Wait, do I have others? I'm not sure I have others, but
Right. So you always start off with something that's energetic, but as it goes along, it becomes less energetic, and that's where the challenge
yeah.
comes back in. We have to make it more energetic again.
Exactly. It's just like it's a matter of context. It's just like, and I think you can see it in actually all the sketches I do. Actually, I kind of like have this sort of idea that lighting makes no sense. Yeah, like those ones, like lighting makes no sense, but sort of like where do I want things to lit, and like same thing like on A, like it doesn't make sense that she's getting hit that much by lighting, but at the same time there's a strong lighting in the back. I don't really care about it right now. It's just like where would I want to look, and then you figure it out a bit later. Same thing with C. C, there's this sort of like lighting coming, and it's cutouts on the top from we don't know what. It doesn't make sense, but there's like energy in the idea, and that's what excites me usually.
Man, you should really do classes on lighting and shapes.
Oh man, yeah, eventually, yeah. Hopefully that would be nice. I want to do some one day. I think I had some for
So, so they really like how you design the light and shadow shapes for this one. Is it the same process? They particularly really like this.
that's easy. That's basically doing dappled lighting. Dappled lighting is sort of, when light goes through plants and stuff, it's casting like the shadow from those.
Okay.
Um, it was actually easy because I think I didn't have the dappled lighting all the way until the end. So it's actually easy to add. Like I just had like sort of like a light hitting the thigh and a light hitting everything. I just added shadow shapes afterwards with the brush.
So it's
So
pretty
that's like
much.
very easy to do.
So it's pretty much just
That's
triangular shapes.
yeah, that's at the end with a sort of like custom brush that's triangular and like, sort of like mimics the dappled lighting. And then you just play with the smudge to blur it out slightly because it's so far off that it wouldn't be like a harsh shadow. But that's like maybe like last 2 days. That didn't happen until the last 2 days. That's very easy to do actually. I'll see if I can find you a video on like how to do dappled lightings, but it's the easiest thing ever.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I would share it with them.
Hmm
So, how do you control the ducks in your painting so well in your latest splash art? I know you talked about
Uh,
yeah. If sorry, who's the artist again?
the Caravaggio.
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, it's something I sort of matured into doing more and more. Because like there's like I kind of felt like there was a League classic way of doing things where there's, which is amazing, but like everything is sort of lit in a way that you want to make sure your characters is seen. And I think like one of the outliers there was kind of Alex, because Alex was painting a lot of uh like it felt like there was a scene that was completely pitch dark, and then he added the lights, and then he would carve that lights as you go, but everything stayed sort of dark, so it gave it a sort of like very hard and mature. It was very mature. Yeah, if you go to his art, yeah, I think like the Aatrox is a good example, but a lot of his art is also like where's the light is, the light carves path in something that's dark. Basically, it comes to give that sort of very mature feel that's almost like, you know, Diablo cinematic sort of maturity. And something I was sort of drawn into. Same with the Caravaggio. It kind of feels like it's very realistic. Like if you take all the artificial lights away, what would you have?
If I
Like
take all the
you light, yeah, or everything that, because same thing in illustration. You want to see things.
yes,
Basically, you want to show concepts. You want to show the design of the character. You want to show, like, if you take the Aatrox right now, for example, its peak. You don't see his eyes. You see part of that, you know, belt area. You don't see his back leg design. There's a lot of areas you don't see at all. And it makes that contrast with the areas that are lit, makes that the areas that are lit very, very, very juicy. And for me, it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of things, and like you don't need to render everything, because like if you don't see it because it's in the dark, like you don't even need to render it. But it also, like, in a weird way, it highlights the areas that you want to show, just because we're back to contrast. So yeah, for me that was like definitely the most appealing thing from Alex and the Caravaggio. Those kind of arts. It's yeah. Yeah, it's just like it's a taste thing. I know it's not necessarily everyone's thing, but yeah. So for me, I try to control myself all the time by making sure I never go too light. So the way I do this is I tend to paint lights sometimes too much, that it lightens everything. So I take a step back and either add multiply layers on top again, or darken layer, just to make sure I keep my brightness in check.
yep.
Like I don't need to use pure whites. I don't need to go all the way up in the value. I can stay like you can use like a 75% dark, so something that's very dark gray. But if it's in the context of something that's pure black, it's gonna look like it's something that's super bright, just because it's in context with darker stuff. So that's like the way I see it too. It's just like I try to keep my value scale pretty close towards the dark. Morgana is not a good example because she's like fucking pure whites and the rest is like dark, but ideally that's how it should be. It's just like you use a smaller value scale, um, and you're not tempted to use bright too much. I think like even Morgana right now could be like maybe 2 shades darker, and she would still be like feel like she's very bright in a very dark area.
I think some of them are afraid, including myself, to push too dark, even though it's a dark painting. How do you prevent yourself from messing up the darks in the painting? I think that's
I
very
know, I
difficult.
know. It's hard. It's for me. It comes with maybe like confidence now, because now I'm in a point where like I don't feel I can mess up that much anymore. Which is, I think this is like the only good thing coming from experience. Is just like, I'll make it work. You know, that sort of thing. Like before, if I messed up my thing, or just like doing something too crazy, and I have to take like to look at 3 PSEs ago to make sure I had something that was working. I would be like devastated. Now I'm just like, yeah, I know what, I'll make it work, sort of attitude, which is true. Like we'll always make it work. It's just like just adding more context, I guess. Yeah, it's a personal checklist. Sometimes having good references about the tone you want to get is really good. I have a ton of those. My main reference usually are like focused on material, but I also have like quality benchmark references, and that's like very important because that's been important for me. Like when I was trying to get into the industry, quality benchmark references are amazing, and I don't think people use them enough. It's basically if you want to work for Riot, let's say, then you need to have references about like Riot art next to you as you do it, because you need to know like, did I push my thing enough? And then you need to look at the reference and be like, uh-oh, I could push it way more, and then go back to your painting. And this can apply to a lot of things, like tone. It can apply to, if you look at cinematics, for example, cinematics, movies. There's this really cool app, I mean, not app, website called Shot Deck,
Okay, let's
which is amazing.
introduce it to them. Shot deck.
Shot Deck. It's a paid website, but it's like $10. It's not really expensive. It's a good resource for cinematic. It's HD cinematic elements. You can type anything, and it's gonna give you like references for like something. For like if you want something a bit sci-fi, what's the tone? If you want something a bit westerny, what's the tone? What's the grain? What's the camera lens? What's, you know? So it's very good to have those kind of references as quality benchmarks. At least for me, it's really good to have some of those. Same thing. Like let's say I'm gonna paint a Yordle, which is a cute creature from League of Legends. I'm gonna have some references from Horus, which is an amazing Yordle artist. Amazing art. I mean, he's an amazing artist overall. But just like um, I'm gonna see the way he does it sometimes, just to get an idea of like, all right, I'm doing my own thing, but am I pushing it enough? And sometimes you look at his stuff, you're like, no, I'm not pushing it way enough. Like it could be even better. It could be even nicer. So those kind of things are important sometimes.
Nice.
I wanted to give a shout out to my boy.
Yeah, Pen, Alex, Horace.
Let's go. I mean, anyone, same thing. Jennifer, I'm looking at her. Her anatomy is awesome. She's doing like very stylized anatomy, very strong. Her the way she does gold is freaking amazing. Julia can paint cuteness like none other. Elsie, I've used so much of her. She has like a almost like a graphic design way of doing art, which is fucking fantastic. I love the way she adds details to her painting. Bo, I mean, there's no need reason to introduce Bo. He's the fucking greatest of all time. He's doing amazing. He's an inspiration for all of League Splash. There we got Rudy. Rudy's, I mean, he's good at everything, but like especially if you want something animal, or like he's really good at correcting tones or making things very cinematic. Like yeah, we have a really good team. We got Mo. Mo is freaking impressive at doing like very cinematic and story driven moments. So everyone has like their strong suit. We got Rana lately. Rana Perros. You could check her out too. She's our latest addition in the Splash team. She's doing amazing
Can you spell the
skins
name?
and transitions. Yes, I got you. She's doing.
And I'm curious who is Mo. Yeah.
Mo is our. I think I'm not sure about. He's our art manager.
Oh, does he has art station?
Uh, Maybe. I do not know.
Mo Yan.
Just
Oh.
typed it. If you take the first League of Legends one too on Rana, same thing. She has like amazing stuff. Yeah, amazing stuff. And someone you can check out too is Fortune. Fortune has amazing story written stuff. She can make like story elements. Like Fortune K, her station. Yeah, I think Fortune should be good for us, Ishin. Yeah, she does like amazing, cute stuff. And everything's very story driven. If you look, there's like Easter eggs everywhere. Same thing. It's just like having those under your nose when you're painting. It's just like, man, maybe I could add more stuff or more Easter eggs or like moments or like more things, or I could do this better or I can do that better. Same thing. It's just like it's very inspiring to get. I mean, you don't even need to. I work with them, so it's good. But even if I wasn't, I would just like I'll just hop on the air station and check everything everyone's good at, and just like take learn from the best from those best people ever. Yeah, Ulises Wanto. Yeah. So yeah, damn, I did my plug for the whole Splash team. I'm a I'm a good kid. All right.
So, Terry, like your thumbnails.
Yeah,
Let me read the question.
they
For
suck. I know. I'm
no no no
trying to
no
get better. Okay.
no. For your drafts, even for your drafts, the way you light things looks very realistic, and your two values, like in your two tones, your shape language is also very good.
哦 man, I appreciate it.
并小岛是小窗 still reading the question. And the use of your triangular, circular, and square shapes are quite bold. Um, my particular friend here would like to know how do you manage all this so well? Like, how do you do this so well? Yeah, this question
It's just.
is asked by Chase from, if you know him, from Pandat.
Oh
Like,
no, Chase. Well, I mean, he's already working in the industry. He doesn't need anything from me.
nah, he wants to learn from you, so the honor is all
Jesus,
yours.
hey, hey, Chase, you chill, you chill. You don't need from me. Okay. So it's just what is appealing for me. Like it's always been. I think this is something that I've studied when I was studying Disney stuff. Actually, this is something that kept from Disney stuff. Um, for me, the bolder shapes that we have are the simplest ones. So like circle, rectangular, triangle, like those shapes as core design, they're like fucking fantastic. They don't need to have as much variety, and like variety is cool when you need it, but the simplicity of the simplest shapes, it's for me that's art in its purest form. And this is why like I think you have resurgence of like artists like Leon Decker and like those guys, because they're really good at or Rockwell, because they're really good at realism, but they're using shapes that are forever appealing. Like those shapes are like, yeah, if you look at those, all those, everything is like, it doesn't make sense. The anatomy's not here. There's a lot of things missing. We don't have the muscles there. But like there's like what I'm driven by is like the big shapes. Like the big shapes, the idea of a shape, the idea, and whether it's the silhouette, the character, or the lighting. Like if you look at the Katarina, the B one,
Yeah.
there's a streak of lighting happening on the hair.
Yeah.
It makes no sense that there's a streak of lighting there. Technically, like if you have lighting coming from the back, whatever, maybe you can make it work realistically if you go through the painting. It doesn't make sense that it would work this way. But when I was experimenting with like lighting and logic, etc., in those areas, or designing lighting, it felt appealing to have like this sort of like red shape lighting here. And it's, yeah, that's how I treat lighting every time. Like if you take the B sketch from Misfortune,
Okay.
the veil is just one big triangle. It's just one big fucking triangle. I mean, it's just like in the, yeah. I'm super sorry because my colleagues make amazing sketches and mine are like basic, but it's like how I like to vision arts. It's just like basic shapes and basic strong ideas. Bold lighting makes no sense. It's okay. We'll figure it out later. And once you have more context, you can solve those things. But yeah, I like to see everything through the lens of like energy, like quick storytelling moments, and then just wing it with the shapes, whether it's for form or lighting.
So how are you so bold with all this? I know your mindset is I'll make it work, but how are you so bold and confident with the lighting and the shapes, and it all looks so
Oh
well
god,
done during the thumbnail stage?
my god, that's so nice. I hide my thumbnails, I hide my grain lights usually, like the first couple of steps to illustration, because I haven't everything figured out. Um, yeah, I would go even simpler. Honestly, I could go way, way simpler. Like if I were to do sketches for myself, dude, like that B sketch for Morgana, like that would be like 5 triangles together and 1 circle in the back, and that's it. But I sort of like navigate between the idea of, um, you know, I like that that's my core principle, but at the same time I need to make it, good enough so my colleagues will understand my idea. So it's basically a balance between graphical idea and making it understandable for my colleagues, basically.
Man, so there is some pressure. You can be bold, but there's still some pressure.
I know, yeah. Well, that's the thing too, because I know that in arts, for personal arts, I love to change things all the way until the end. Like if I feel like 3 weeks in the art that the head would actually look better if it was facing the other way, I love to do that change. Like I'm excited about those changes. But because we're in a production setting and that's very different and that's very normal too, you can't do those things as much. So you need to have like sort of a more streamlined approach to things, which is perfectly fine. It's actually better and healthier. It's just like not how I usually paint. I paint very destructively. Most of the time, except when I'm experimenting, I try to do everything on one layer. Like it's very destructive. So having to be disciplined because it needs to be presentable is just part of the job description, and it's what I try to do as well. So I start with bold shapes, and then I sort of sketch the idea in afterwards to sort of make it work well enough so it can go through the stage, and my colleagues can, my friends can understand what I'm trying to do. Because it wouldn't be fair for them to have to guess my work.
So, so you start off with the gestural big shapes, followed by the
Oh
line
God,
work
yeah.
on top to make it more
Yes.
presentable, and then you add the light
Yes.
after that.
Yeah, you know what? Yes. I add the light after. Well, if you look at the raw sketches, which is actually the roughest I've ever shown my sketches ever, the C sketch is close to what you would have before I put any lighting. So, like,
Oh,
there's an
this.
idea. This is rough. This is rough. This is anatomically wrong, proportionally wrong. You have the concept of an idea, I guess. It's a couple of circles, rectangulars, and like even the shapes are not even thought out. I usually try to go back afterwards and push the shapes design.
Right.
Um, but in that case, that's like for me, it's enough as that's the statement. What's the statement? That diagonal, that roundness of the hair for the curve, and then the rectangles, and then finding triangles within to design. And then what I would do is I would put like a black like multiply layer on top, like a gray multiply on top, and I would carve a lighting on top, and that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the lighting. If you look at the B sketch, that's what I did. Like everything was a sketch, and then I like put a lighting on top, split her face in half, and then the back is basically triangles that sort of help the read, and that's it.
Wow.
Honestly, there's not much more.
So this is the most transparent way of doing it for this example, where like gestural shapes,
Yeah,
line work for visibility, so people can understand, and then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
multiply layer
Those
with
are
the
like
light.
simple ones. Yeah, because Relic was a different it was a different product, so I had to be like slightly faster on her. So sketches were needed to be done faster. Like I think like maybe 1 day or 2 days for the 3 sketches. So very fast. Usually it's like a whole week or 4 to 5 sketches. But I had like maybe 1 day or 2 days, so it had to go to the essence very fast. So it's just quick gesture, quick idea. What it will solve things later. No,
We'll
in the
solve
end it
things
works.
later. We will get it done later. We'll make it better later.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, also I don't want to say that's the way to do it because I used to do very good, strong sketches, and I think it's important. It's just like now I have the confidence to skip a couple of steps. But that wasn't the case before. So I'm not saying you need to rush through things. I'm saying it's important to know that you can always think, trust yourself. You can always fix things later. But I have an example. Maybe I think the Ari. did.
Ari, okay,
Yeah,
let's.
but if you go to the Snow Munari, I did a pass of sketching on top. Like, I didn't have everything figured out, so I did another pass on top, basically. So you have like two sketches, like you have the sketch and the other sketch. So same thing. It's just like it's whatever works. If you if you go down, yeah. So, oh yeah, well it goes fast, but like if you wait back to the beginning, oh my god, it's so long. Anyway, I'm sorry. So yeah, there's a first sketch, and then there's a second sketch where you sort of like design the elements a bit better because I wasn't confident going in. It's about it's again, it's a matter of like how confident are you, and if you're not, it's okay. Take more time. Like I actually think like the biggest thing for me, and a lot of people are asking like illustration, like how can I make better illustrations and do things better, etc., etc. My number one advice for myself and the one I would give others is slow the fuck down. Holy shit. Like take your time. Like the goal is not to be fast. And I know so many people are coming, with like, oh, can you check my final illustration? And I did this in 2 weeks. I was like, dude, like as a splash team, we take like 5 to 6 weeks to do a painting. And we are like a full team dedicated to do it. So there's no way that in 2 weeks you can, I mean, you could, I guess, but you're not making yourself a service to do it in 2 weeks. Take your time. Like, I think the hardest thing in illustration is to reach a quality benchmark. Like the high quality is actually harder than being fast. Speed is the thing that comes last, at least for me. So for me, it was very important to take my time. That's like take my time to make sure like I hit like the benchmarks. So this way, yeah, I had good reference on this side to make sure that, okay, can I push this or not, etc., etc. Could I make this more interesting? But the thing that helped me the most is, yeah, definitely slowing the fuck down and trying to reach for quality first and speed last. Now that I'm a bit more experienced, I go slightly faster on some stuff, very slightly, but just because I have a bit more confidence that I can make it work eventually.
Yeah, so I saw for your Ari thumbnails, I placed it in Photoshop to analyze it. Yeah, right, like shapes, big shapes, gestural shapes, a presentable sketch,
Yeah,
the color pass,
yeah.
the lighting pass.
While keeping the essence of the sketch idea, which is basically just a streak of light in the middle. And yeah, this is a more like I think our Snow Munari was the best approach because it was since I spent more time in the early stages, so I did another sketch, and even the thumbnail was like kind of like well designed. It made everything very streamlined, which is a good thing, especially when you're beginning. You want things to be streamlined because you don't want to have pivots. Pivots are the worst. But yeah, in other cases like the rel, I don't mind if there's pivots because my idea is like I'm gonna make it work. Now it's okay. I have the experience and the confidence to make it work. So yeah, that's the idea.
Terry, do you need to take a break, like drink some water or something?
You know what? I have a beer waiting for me, so I might get if you give me 2 minutes, I'm gonna
Sure,
get
sure.
another beer.
Let's take a break.
All right, I'll be right back.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, hey Terry. So for this particular part, they want to know like how do you manage the texture of the metal and the components, like because this metal has lots of textures, but yet they are so well organized, and how do they do it without messing things up?
Uh, it's funny because like you're showing like this arm in particular. So I think it's a very very well done arm, and it's a very very well done metal area. It's been done by Bo Chen, this area. So this is why it's good. No, I had for this arm in particular, I think I had a really good paint over from Bo I mean, for some of the major light sources, because Bo is really amazing at those. And I just basically applied it and added my spin on it. But I think for this example in particular, it was a lot of it was I mean, at least like the highlights, the way the highlight was treated and the value was sorted. I think this was a lot of Bo's work. So I'm not sure I can talk on it specifically. Let me see if I can find another area about metal. Or is it about texture or is it about metal?
More like how do you more like the material texture? How do you make it so detailed but yet organized at the same time with the lighting?
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe the rail is a good example, or maybe the Elise is a good example as
Okay,
well.
let's go.
So yeah, the metal on the Elise or the rail. I think the way I treat it is the same way that oil painters treat it. Because actually, my biggest passion is oils.
Right.
Like if I were to be doing anything, it would be oil painting for sure. And the way I approach it is like there's this sort of dab movement. So basically, when you're applying oils, you're dabbing paints, but you're not really blending it all that much. And digital is actually really good at blending. So the way I approach it, especially for areas like metal, is just like you're dabbing areas of highlights with areas of where the light is deflected, so very dark, and then the mid areas, and then the reflectiveness. So everything is dabbed into like areas, and this is how I sort of treat it. And then it's just like basically texture brush to give it sort of an appeal. But yeah, that's the idea. The idea is like I don't want to merge things too much. If you go at, I think maybe the LEs as well.
Okay, let me.
Let me see, because I'm not even sure what I'm saying.
No. Oh wait, let me. Uh.
Yeah, if you're going to like maybe the third image, going down, if you like take it like the metal areas, basically it's the same principle. It's just like dabs of darks and dabs of lights all together. So you're dabbing the highlights is the area with the most contrast, which is like the tiny shiny dots that's happening on the bottom. And then next to it, you have like basically the edges, which are going to capture a lot of light. Next to the highlight, usually you have your darkness, especially when you're doing metal, which transition into a midground, and then dark, and then lights. So it's just like that dabbing of like elements succeeding one to another that sort of give it that texture. But yeah, basically it's just like painting as stabs and not smoothing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, there's not that much to it actually
So
when I
you're using
about it.
shapes to paint gold, like dabbing the ducks,
Mhm.
a dark base
Exactly.
first,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
followed
Yeah.
by a light base,
Yeah.
and then you slowly bring
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
the strong highlights and the shadows, the darks.
Exactly. And try not to blend too much. I think the issues I see with metals usually is that people blend it too nicely, which works nice on chrome, but any other metal, I kind of feel like blending kind of gives it this sort of like washed aspect or like um yeah, blurry effect. I think metal especially, there's an artist that I like watching called Templier Painting. Let me
That's
get it for you.
that's okay.
And he has YouTube videos. It might be interesting for you. He has YouTube videos. I don't know if it's a good example actually. I was watching this a couple of years ago. I don't even know if it's good anymore, but I'm pretty sure it's good. Anyway,
Let's
art
go.
station. Is there an art station? Oh no, there's no art station. Okay, anyways, I'm debating. Okay, I got you. Right. So this dude.
Okay, copy link.
And MP painter, yeah. And basically that's the idea. It's just like the way he paints metal is the way I do it as well, and he doesn't merge all too much. If you're gonna, I don't know about the recent ones, but like if you check the older ones, and those are like from 9 years ago. So yeah, basically when I started painting, pretty much.
Man, 9 years ago,
Um,
and he already painted like to this caliber,
yeah. Oh yeah, those were the go-tos.
bruh.
I don't know if it's good anymore, but like yeah, that's sort of the way of how I learned how to do metal. It's That's basically what it is, and then it's just like whatever how smooth it is, and then using I don't know, the color dodge and stuff like that. I'm very bad at using I don't know how it's called in English, but like the color dodge
Yep.
and linear dodge and all
Yep.
that shit. I don't use those. I mean, I try to use them, but I'm not really good at using them. Uh, Sometimes I actually ask Horace to do a pass of like cinematics or anything on top, or Rudy is also good at using those things too. It's yeah, I need to learn how to use those better. Anyways,
Right.
yep,
So,
that's pretty much how I approach it.
so from the darks to the lights, dabbing, try not to smooth things out crazily. If not, it's gonna look very fake.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah, yeah.
another question by
Then
Chase would be. Sorry, you was gonna say something.
no, that's it.
Yeah. So he likes how you do your hand gesture. Like he says, if he were to paint this, he will make it clench on the weapon, which makes it very stiff. But you managed to make it look very relaxed, and he likes how you do your hands. Like he says, it's very
Oh,
nice, and
that's so nice.
he wonders how you do it. Yeah, Terry has
Yeah,
so
that's
much
cool.
things
Cause
to teach.
no, okay, that's cool. Cause hands is like the artist curse. It's
Yeah,
hands are hard.
I know.
I'm getting better at them. I actually don't use as much ref as I used to. But before I used to like take a ton of pictures, like finding references. Um, Basically, it's same thing. Look at all the triangles there is inside of my shapes. It's crazy. Like even the shadow shape is a fucking triangle. Anyways, um, there's two issues with the hands. First thing is like there's the League of Legends hands, which are very elongated, very thin, very specific. Rel is more like a realistic hands. Even if she's League of Legends, she's a bit more like realistic. I still kind of use reference photos for those, so I just look at my hands while I paint it, and I get a sense of like how the flesh is moving. The first thing I paint is the bones. So the thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. I don't know the names in English, but like basically I really know how the bones work inside of the hands,
Okay, the
and this
bone
is helping
structure
me
of the hand.
to. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very bad at anatomy. I mean, I know my basics, but I'm not good at anatomy per se. But I did study a lot of hands and feet. So hands and feet, I have a really good idea on how it works on an anatomic level. And I started drawing like as a concept of an idea, like the thin, thick, thin, thick, thin rectangle, thin square, thin whatever. And then once I have this on top, it's just like surrounding it basically with flesh, but I paint it in a way that it's triangular. Like if you look at the knuckles, they're actually triangular. If you look at um, the way the flesh is surrounded around it, it's very like stylized. I think Pan is really good at this too. Pan is amazing at hands. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much how I do it for hands specifically now.
Right. So
So drawing the bones first.
the
Yeah.
bones, the curves of ins and outs, the triangular shapes.
Yeah. And then it's just a matter of like using your own hand, in front of the screen, so you have like a dark on light to have an idea of like the spacing between your fingers, and where's the V, where's the energy, how's the hand holding, the big the big muscles that you have around the thumb area, how does it work, etc. So yeah, I just use my hand against a bright screen to have like just the silhouette of it and get the concept. Then I use the bone as a way to guide me in for like basically gesture and proportions, and then I just draw the silhouette around it and I try to get as stylized as I can be.
Man, your fingers are very lively.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, those are. Yeah, it was a struggle before. Not as much now, but definitely was a struggle before.
So for those who want to learn how to do better hands, how would you advise them to start?
I think drawing a hand gesture is good. So basically, like like 30 seconds to 1 minute of
Okay.
specifically hand gestures, like
Yeah.
a couple. just to get a sense of like basically once you understand like there's like one or two gesture dynamics,
Yep.
maybe three if you have like depending on the angle.
Yep.
Like then you have an understanding that you don't really care about one or two of the fingers and they're just here to whatever. It's harder when you have like energy hands. So basically when there's like contractions in some areas and on the others,
Yep.
or when everything is tied together because it's pushing and pulling flesh in a certain way, muscles and flesh.
Yep.
But apart from that, I would suggest that yeah, hand gesture, just a couple of maybe draw a bit at the bones
Yep.
of the hands just to get an idea of how it feels under. And then for us, using references. So by using a lot of references, then you'll need to use less as you go, because you're basically building your mental library.
Wow. Man, you have lots of things to
That,
teach. Terry, I think
hopefully that helps.
the students' favorite question is, will you ever, sell your brushes and maybe do a short video on, how to use your brushes? I think a lot of students are like
Oh my god.
asking for that.
I mean, I can give them. It's so. Let me show you. Those are my brushes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of students ask me, can you ask Terry to do a demonstration? And I'm like, yeah, I think this could be a good income for you, a good side income where you sell your brush on ArtStation, upload a video on how you use them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'll probably. I think I can give them for free. I don't create my own brushes. So I just have like brushes I got over the time from interacting with artists. Um, I'm not because yeah, there's a lot of good ones I use though, but it's like I use one. I have my tool presets right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 brushes that I use. And I have like 3 of those are for drawing. So for painting, it's like at math, but it's like 6 for painting and 3 for drawing.
Yeah, I remember you generously shared 3 of your brushes with me.
Which one of those? Oh yeah,
The
the
Adrian
Adrian Smith.
Smith,
Oh
the
yeah,
Heart Smith.
yeah. Well, you know what? You got most of them. So Adrian Smith is the one I use for like a lot of the textures I like. It's well, I told you about Adrian Smith.
Yep.
It's his only that's the only brush he uses, mind you. It's crazy. Anyways, so that's a brush that sort of gives a sort of like berry canvas texture. That I use a lot for blending and then or for like there's a lot of areas I like to use them in. It's really good for clothing or like for adding like digital-esque texture. And the half soft is the one I use almost the most. It's like 80% of it is the one I use. Even I think for sketching now, I only use this one. It's a good way. You remember how we were saying about carving lighting?
Yep. Yep.
That's the way I carve lighting.
Right. So sketching,
I agree.
lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, sketching, lighting, gradients, stones. It's just like it's a good way to carve elements in, because it's just like you have a hard side. That's really good because it allows you to like really carve, but it also blends slightly because the other side is like super soft. So the mix of both is just it allows you to do a lot of things with just this brush.
Wow. Adrian Smith for texturing, for general use hard soft. What about your hard soft flip?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, I've specifically used those forever now. I do have. I mean, I have like maybe 100 brushes, but the ones I use like 9.
Right. Right.
Those are the ones that have in tool presets. Basically, I use maybe like even less than 9. I say
Yeah.
9 just be conservative, but it's just like maybe I use 5. You know. So,
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just relaying what your fans would like to, you know, receive. Yeah, like, can you ask what brushes Terry use? Is it
but
possible to get them? Yeah,
I'll share them. I'll
yeah,
share them. No problem.
yeah. And they're like,
It's
how does he use those brushes? He uses it so well. And I'm like, okay, I'll relay them to Terry.
I can see if I can do video.
Yeah,
So I'm planning to do a course.
yeah, nice.
I've been in touch with a really good website and school and
Okay.
artists. So I'm not sure I can share
It's fine. Yep.
with them
Uh,
because it's not
I
yet official.
understand.
But yeah, the idea is to do a full course of how to do a splash art
Nice,
um,
nice.
from start to finish. I know that it's been seen a lot because Bo is doing an amazing videos of those. I know
Mm-hmm.
Dave Calvis is doing lots of like speed paintings. Alcy is doing some of those too, like really inspiring videos. Um, the way I want to make it like slightly different is just like I want to take the time to show like the whole process through like the pain points,
Yep.
how to reference, how I use reference, how to do when you're not succeeding something. Like there's going to be areas that suck because when you're painting for like 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, there's moments where you're like, fucking, this is awful, it's ugly as hell, what the heck.
Yeah.
um so how do you deal with those moments? How do you deal with moments where you're like doubting? How do you deal with like not finding the right reference? Which crutches can you use? What to do in those situations? So the goal is to have the most innocent and naive process possible to really show what it takes, because I think like in my case, art is never glorified because it's never easy.
Yeah.
It's not. I can't be there and pretend like it's been easy. Like all those images are easy. Things get easier for sure. It's never easy. I mean, it's always a struggle to have an idea and to put it on a canvas and to make sure that it appeals to you and to what you want to do, and maybe to eventually maybe to others. It's hard, and it takes a lot of things. I kind of feel like at any level it will always be hard. So by showing a process that's as naive as possible, I hope it can be like helpful for people. So yeah, that's what I'm working for right now, to really show like the entirety of what it takes eventually. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And
Maybe next year.
nice. You guys can look forward to that. And I think if you have extra time, you can do like Gumroad tutorials on like specific parts, like how to do thumbnailing, how to do hands. Like you talk so much about individual parts in great detail, and I think you could really benefit the community with that, and at the same time, earn some good side income.
Well, you know what? You know what? That's a good idea. I think my goal is first and foremost, because that's the thing I want to do. What I feel I missed when I was starting out.
Yep.
Like I had no idea about illustration as a whole, and it was very frustrating for me to have no resources. And to glorify moments, like to feel like, oh, it's so easy for everyone else because they're so much better. And actually, that was not the case. It's hard for everyone. Um, so I want to make sure like that. I want to do the perfect video that I wish I had when I was sort of like growing up as an artist. So that's the goal. And then once that's done, maybe yeah, bite-sized pieces might be nice.
Yeah, I look forward to those bite-sized pieces, and if I have extra time and money, I would love to go through that one course with you. At least once
Fuck
in the
yeah,
future.
let's do it. Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. That's fine.
Terry. Oh, I mean, I'm so excited. Like for your Ari, like, is it compulsory to draw 9 tails, or can you like cut off some slack and not draw the 9? And how do you design the shape and the curves of the tail so well? Like a lot of people draw Ari, but they seem to struggle with the tail, including myself.
Jesus, I so far I've drawn Ari 4 times already, and
You're the
that's like
expert.
4 times 9. That's like what, 36? That's 36 tails.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of tails. Let me tell you. It's more of Ari is a bit tricky because the way I draw it, not necessarily like the right way. I think Popstar maybe was a better version of like how I would do the tails.
Oh,
I
pop
think
stuff.
same thing. Like Hall of Legends like was a group project with Jennifer and Julia. So there was the two of us because there's the three of us, sorry, because there was versions, multiple
Right.
versions, and we had to show like Ari, like it needs to be obvious that it's Ari. But the way I would do it is more like Popstar, where you like hints at there's tails. So you have like a sort of like volume of fluff happening in the back, with 1 or 2 or 3 that are sticking out to show that it's tails. So that's how I would do it personally. Um, like really have this moment of you don't need to show everything. For me, if you show everything, sometimes it's just like I don't trust in the design or in the imagination of the viewer, so I have to show him everything. I prefer to like sort of hint things around, and this is actually why I think like Caravaggio appeals to me, or Alex's work appeals to me, because you don't need to show everything. You can leave some imagination for the viewer, and that's my favorite kind of art.
To hint.
I think Snow Moon as well. If you look at the Snow Moon one, yeah, same thing. We're there too, but in the Snow Moon, um, I think it started off as like that. I think in my sketches we didn't see the tails all too much, and they actually like even in the sketches you don't see the tails all too much. But they wanted to like just like stakeholders and everything. They wanted us to show more of tails. So as it evolved, they were like, we need to show more tails sticking out and being there and everything, like its tails sticking out, and it makes sense on a product level for sure. Like I'm not arguing that it needs to be like more tails and more things sticking out. I kind of like the idea of like you're not necessarily showing it though
Right, so you prefer to
as a
hint
concept.
the volume of it.
Yeah. Oh, I love hinting at stuff. It's also the lazy way of not drawing things too, so it's perfect.
Man, that's that's a hard skill to master, hinting at the tails.
Yeah, it's called being lazy. No, just kidding. But yeah, that's the idea.
I think it really takes skill. And just now before we started this whole interview, you were talking about like how you find a job through your portfolio and such. And I think it's helpful advice. Maybe you could tell the viewers about that as well.
Yes. So this is only my experience, so not necessarily like it's the must. That's just my experience. But I think having a portfolio that's extremely specialized is important, and removing anything that is not helping. And for me, something that's not helping is like, first of all, you're going to get judged on your worst work. So let's say you have 10 amazing pieces
Yep.
and you have one piece that's like really underneath.
Yep.
I think for me, a viewer is going to think that that's the base level we can expect. I think for illustration, you need at least 5 pieces, which is not a lot, but can be a lot. I think for my, like, if you go all the way down for my 5, so I had 5 pieces in my portfolio before. I mean, I had other stuff before.
Yep.
So I think I had the raccoon. So I started with the raccoon was my first one. The raccoon, the space girl, whatever. Like those are like the first time I started doing illustration. I was like, I want to do illustration and let me try it. So those are like I did 4 or 5 pieces, and they were of various quality. Some are I have sentimental attachment to them, but they're not good. It is what it is. Or not as good as I wish they could be, but they had like something, and I was very excited about those. Anyways, when I posted those, I made sure I removed everything else that I had in my portfolio. I have a lot of things in my portfolio. I did concept for years. I did, art direction. I did a lot of things, but I only had those 5 pieces because this is what I wanted to be hired for, and all the unsuccessful attempts that I wanted to put in, I removed. So I only put the best work I had, and at the time that was it. So yeah, my number one advice is speed comes last. My number two is just like try to be specialized. You can't be exceptional in everything, and focus on quality first. That's like really, if you can reach the quality, like you're halfway there.
Right. Any closing words for the students and the viewers? Man, this has been really helpful.
Well, everyone's amazing. It's great to have like there's so many communities on the planet, but I think like the art community is always the best and the most fun one ever. So I'm always excited to like talk with artists and learn from them, and being in a community, I think what you're doing is amazing. Like it's great to know that there's people that are gonna learn from you and connect with you through your videos and what you're doing. Art is a journey, but it wouldn't be a journey if there wasn't everyone involved in it. So yeah, being an artist is definitely a privilege. But yeah, let's keep going, honestly.
Yeah, thank you so much for this interview masterclass, man. And I think your fans, the community, look forward to your masterclass and your short videos so that they could learn from you. You know.
Oh, God. Oh, my pleasure. It was great. Appreciate it, man. It was
Right.
super cool talking to you.
Right. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Have a good one, dude.